All right, good morning, all of you. It's Gorilla, it's the Cowboy, it's Algo Factory Tech. It is the free live lab for beginner traders. Listen, if you've been perusing through these videos and you happen to stumble upon us, I'll tell you right now, you are in the right place at the right time. This is the place where we teach you not only how to trade, but also how to build the algorithms that trade on your behalf 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But not only that, we understand the geopolitical um, layout of the entire world. So, in other words, we know what's going to happen before it happens, and we show you how to profit from it. With that being said, I got my man Cowboy. He's flashing the the QR code on the screen. Scan it and join us. With that being said, Cowboy, good morning, buddy.
Yeah, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing quite well, man. I can't complain. It's Wednesday. The week is going by very fast. I can't believe how fast it's going.
Yeah, I had a math teacher because this is in high school, and he was a pretty good teacher. He was really good, and once in a while you have those really good teachers. And the way he put it was, people were saying, "Why does time seem like it goes faster the older you get?" He goes, "Well, it's simple. So when you're 5 years old, a year is an entire 50-year life. So you got to wait for a 50-year life to go by before you become six. But when you're 30, it's only a 30th of your life. So it's going to be 5 times as fast." Like, holy shit. Actually, 6 times. But whatever the deal is, evidently I didn't learn enough to get my multiplication right on that one. But that was a good theory because just dude, it's like the days, the hours, the weeks, they all just start falling off the calendar, man. Because I think honestly, it's just because we get busier. People like us, people who want to do something to improve our life or something to improve our business or something to shore us up for what's coming. Those of us who are filling our plate with things to do, we end up feeling like there's time is going faster just because we're doing so many things. I think that's a
Yeah,
big part of it.
absolutely, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and of course, yesterday, both of us had the same scenario where we didn't have the live lab. Is my alarms went off. I did not hear them, and that is not a problem that I have. That's I
That's the
don't.
same issue I had.
Yeah, it's just
It was odd, man.
so
It was
we
odd.
both talked about this, and our kids were playing with our phones. Both of us,
Yeah,
we're thousands of miles away from each other, and
exactly.
our kids had both been playing with our phones the day before. And then
Yeah,
it seems like that's the reason that our alarm. And I know, but the volume got turned down on my ringer because I use my phone alarm.
yeah, same.
Um,
That's my main alarm for me to get up.
Now you put your phone on airplane or in a Faraday bag overnight, right?
Me, no, no.
Oh, you gotta that. You don't
Yeah,
want that
I keep
that
it
kind of.
away from my. I keep it like across the room, so I actually got to get up to turn off my alarm. You see what I'm saying? So I make it inconvenient for me.
That's better. Yeah, if
Yeah.
it's not next to you, you're probably okay.
I
But I
like to
keep.
sleep with a wired phone, and I put the screen brightness on maximum. I put on the Bluetooth. I turn on the Wi-Fi. Everything's set to maximum setting, and I put it right next to my crotch as I sleep at night.
Oh god, you took my joke. I was gonna say that, dude. I tape
Yeah,
it to my crotch, dude.
that's
It's
what I
just
do. I want
one on my
maximum.
crotch, one on my temple.
I figure the gamma radiation will turn me into something like the Incredible Hulk, or I'll just grow a third testicle.
You're just gonna turn into the Incredible Bulk, is more like it, and not a clean bulk either.
No,
Um,
you
so
have
hey, by the
dirty
way,
bulk.
everybody, if you are watching this, whether it's live on YouTube or it's after the fact, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all those things that every YouTuber ever always says to do. And if you actually say something in the chat, if you like this content, it'll actually help our algorithm. So please do that. Yeah, Cool Cat said it though, and Cool Cat's got a couple of young ones too. Homeschool, potty training, and charting. The kids just pick up the hours that I lose for sure, dude. But yeah, I was just talking to Cool Cat before the show, man. Dude, Cool Cat, I've been talking for years now. I've met him. These good people, definitely good
He's from
people out there.
JA, man.
So, that's right, V. You grew up where a lot of Jamaicans and Haitians grew up in New York, and they
A lot of
actually live in
Caribbean people,
Mexico.
man. A lot of Caribbean people. So got have
How do
the Jamaicans and the Haitians, which hate each other. Then you have the Trinidadians and the Guyanese. They were pretty cool. And
Yeah, like Kogapat. I think he came from Trinidad, Tobago.
yes, my man Alan Bridgemohan Singh. Yeah, from Trinidad, boy. From
Oh, wait,
Trinidad.
wait, is it Trinidad or Tobago? Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's Trinidad and Tobago, but everybody just calls it Trinidad for short.
Trinidad, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I mean, I actually, so when I was a kid, my mom's boyfriend for many years was Jamaican, from Jamaica.
Yeah.
He used to, I'd hang out with him. I'd go hang out with him and play racquetball and golf. He's a good dude. All right. So, yeah, so I got, hey, he has to go, Nicky Boy. He's a good guy. All right. So let's see here. Well, okay, good chat. Let's go ahead and take a look at the charts. We'll start with Bitcoin, and unless anybody has any questions, of course, please, jump in with some questions, and we'll, see if we can get those answered for you. And at this time, look, here's the way that this is going to go. We're going to bring in a lot more people soon to Algo Factory. So we did what's called a soft open, and we only marketed to our own people inside of the Rogue community. And we're still growing based on that. We're getting more and more people each month.
Yep.
But we are going to start marketing outside, and the crowd's going to get a lot bigger. So the beauty of the current state of affairs is that even if you are not in Algo Factory as a member, if you're watching these shows, and even if you're watching it after the fact, it doesn't have to be while you're watching the show. If you ask a question, say, hey, can I see this chart? Can I see that chart? There are not enough private members asking questions during the show to where I have to push you aside. So the private members during the show have priority. If they want to see a chart or they have a question, I answer those first. But if you are not a member, you can actually ask questions. And as long as the members are satisfied and their questions are answered, I'm happy to answer questions for free, which is why we're doing this live lab every day, 8:30 a.m. EST to 10 a.m. EST, right? Is that the time? Yeah, that's right. So, I'm sorry, 8:30 to 9. That's the free part. And then, of course, for another hour up until 10, we do the private lab. So know that and ask questions if you got them. And like I say, even if you're watching this after the fact, you can ask questions in the comment section. Say, hey, can you, chart whatever crypto for me? And I say, yeah, sure. I'm going to tell you no, screw off. Just kidding. I'm not going to say that. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. So we'll take a quick look at Bitcoin. We'll start there because that's kind of the centerpiece of a lot of what we do is Bitcoin. Look, here's the thing about Algo Factory. If you are a stock trader, if you're a currency trader, if you are an index trader, if you like to trade pork belly futures, doesn't matter whatever it is.
I love trading pork belly futures.
Do you?
I really do.
You're not talking about going.
I'm trying to be as good as Hillary Clinton because she does cattle futures and she's better than any trader in the world.
I figured you'd talk about going to the bar in your 20s.
Going to the bar in my 20s? What?
Pork belly futures.
Oh, no. That's not what I'm talking about. Why are you laughing at me?
Hey, go ugly early, bro. Works every time.
What are you saying?
we're talking about that bulk, man.
I am all about the bulk, brother.
What are you talking? See, the thing is, now V can do those accents without being racist, because that's
I have my brown card, which means that I'm not racist, but I'm also probably one of the great proponents of white supremacy. I'm the brown face of white supremacy.
Oh no!
According to the left, I am the brown face of white supremacy.
That sounds terrible, dude.
Oh God, it is.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, people, look. Here's the thing. Obviously, our group was more than anything libertarian for years. Like, we didn't care about whatever, and we still don't. If you want to live whatever lifestyle you want to live, it does not bother us as long as you're not intruding on us, right? Like, if you're, LGBT, leave our kids alone, that kind of thing. Like, we're good with that. But it seems to me that the current culture, and I'm talking about left and right, by the way, likes to enforce itself on others. And it would be great if people just left each other alone. But we are not in that time in history right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to make enough money to insulate ourselves from said things. Although I am going to show you how to look out for white supremacists. If you look at the screen right there.
Yes.
The warning signs of white supremacy.
Any culture, any individual or culture, doesn't matter what your skin color is. If you do 5 of those things, which is number 1, you're married, you have kids, you have full-time employment. Hey man, you just took it off, bro.
Sorry.
Yeah, you have regular church attendance or whatever religious service you attend. You have no criminal record and you distrust what the official government narrative tells you. then you, my friend, either are a white supremacist or you're the brown or black face of white supremacy. That's what the media says. And you got to trust the media.
Oh, you gotta trust the
yeah,
media,
you
dude.
have to.
If you don't trust the media, then you are a white supremacist, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
what, and you're trying to overthrow. And I got a buddy of mine I showed this to, and it's a group of guys that are politically diverse. And he goes, "Holy crap, I'm a white supremacist," and he's like Mexican. It's all jokes, folks. I don't care what you're from. If you want to come and you want to learn how to trade, and you're maybe don't agree with us politically, we're not going to stop you. You know, no, we're come on in. You know, come make some money. We are not. What do you call it? We're not trying to stop anybody from making money. And we tend to find that the first time, that first year after you make a lot of money, and you all of a sudden have to pay your taxes. And we pay our taxes here, by the way, all of them. All the money that we're legally, bound to pay is what we pay here. And when you pay your taxes that first year, all of a sudden, you start to, if you were on the left, you start to kind of start migrating towards the center. It's an interesting thing I've seen happen over the years. It happened to me. Well, I was actually raised a little more conservatively, but especially when I got my first paycheck, my first job, I'm like, holy crap, how much money are they taking out? You know? So anyway, this Bitcoin here is this pattern that we're looking at is what I call the stairway to heaven. And uncommonly, look, it's the stairway to heaven. Now, the thesis that everybody's running on right now that has been watching Bitcoin for a long time, the thesis is the 4-year thesis. And what that thesis says is that generally right about now, towards the end of November, we see a peak, and then price actually normally kind of heads down. You know, it might peak. Well, grab my arrow here, darn it. Grab the arrow. Okay, so it kind of peaks out, whether it's already peaked or not, and then it heads down to some level below. Doesn't, I'm just picking a level here. And then it kind of hangs out here and then slowly heads up and kind of flattens out until maybe like it'll have a slight pop up in maybe April or May. And then it kind of heads back down again. So you kind of got this sideways action, a little bit up, and then after May down. And then once you start hitting August, that is when price really starts to take off, because the halving is every 4 years, and it's this year in May. And then August is when you're off to the races. Now, that's how it's happened on the halvings that we have seen thus far. And we have some other data that came from the Gorilla that says what we're looking at here, more or less, is very possible, right? So, a move down is very possible. But let me tell you what else is possible. The price could just keep going up, right? Price could go down to zero. Price could go to infinity. Anything is possible in trading, and you have to understand that. So when you're building a thesis, what we have to do is, for example, the way I do things, and we don't give investment advice here, is that I hold like Bitcoin. I like Ripple. I have some things that I hold. Monero is one that I like. I'm not holding it right now. I need to get some. But long story short, I held those long term. And then I trade in and out of these other items, kind of like, maybe in and out within a day, maybe a couple days. And that builds my pot. That increases, right? So I have something that is increasing over time. That's my long-term hold, because I believe in crypto. At least I believe in crypto for the next few years. And then what I do is I go ahead and build my pot with small trades in the meantime. And so it doesn't matter if this whole thing tanks. Crypto is probably going to continue up and be much higher this time next year than it is right now. There's a really good chance of that. But it could, by the 4-year thesis and everything we've seen in the last few halvings, price should be headed down pretty soon. So, and I think that low is probably going to be, could be as low as like 26,000. I think Gorilla, you can talk more about this in the private and let us know if our thesis has changed based on your data. But this is the 4-year thesis. And the problem with the 4-year thesis is, look, what we do here at Algo Factory is we use a scientific method, right? So we go back through time and we see how assets behave. And when you're trading on a lower time frame, when you're, say, like swing trading, when you're in a trade on a Tuesday and out on a Thursday, or if you're day trading, when you're in a trade at 10 a.m. and you're out by noon, those kind of things, there are hundreds of trades you can look back and you can kind of see how they behave. Right? That's called back testing. And if you do it a couple hundred times, then you have a statistical kind of probability that, okay, if I do these things, if I create this trading method, if I create this algorithm, I have a 75% chance of winning, or whatever your number is, right? And then you start to do the math and say, okay, I can trade like this and I can be profitable. And then that's what Algo Factory is. It doesn't necessarily involve like you have to, have this supercomputer and you're sitting there with your hoodie on and your super thick glasses and you're a genius. It's not like that. You can pay somebody else to do all that. What it's all about is creating this method. Now, the issue with backtesting on this high time frame, especially with Bitcoin, is that you only have 3 or 4 of these to backtest, and that's not a big sample size. So whenever you're doing the statistics or you actually do it using the scientific method, if you want to create a hypothesis or a thesis, as it were, you need a lot of data. You need a large sample size, because the smaller the sample size, the more opportunity there is for flukes, right? So there have only been 3, 4 halvings, right? So we had the initial opening at 2009, I think it was. First halving was, I think, gosh, man, I'm having a hard time here. Is it 12, 16, 20, and 24? So 2012. So we're coming up on our 4th halving. So we only have 3 halvings to really kind of look back on and see how things behave around the halving. Number 1. Number 2, that first halving was very, very different, and the entire market was very, very different. So we kind of have to even say, hey, that might be a fluke, right? So we only really have actually 2 halvings that we can look back on and say, oh, this is how price behaved in the halving. Maybe 2 or 3, whatever your number is. So, such a small sample size, like we might find out in the next 30 years, if Bitcoin is still around, after a few more halvings, that price does not, maybe it only does this half the time, and this time might be different. And when you look at something with 200 examples and you say this time might be different, then those might be famous last words. If you look at something with 3 examples and this time might be different, then yeah, it's not too bad of a thing to say, So, but again, we here at Algo Factory still are kind of going by the 4-year thesis, and we think that we will see a compression in price, and it may coincide with the Santa rally being done. And I think the Santa rally is going to need more time. And what we can do is take a brief look at, say, the probably the SP 500 and NASDAQ. Unless anybody like V, unless you want to see gold or you want to see something else, we can always do
We'll start with S&P.
Okay, so this is our thesis basically. I mean, this is a loose thesis that you're looking at. It doesn't mean that it might only go down to whatever 28 instead of 26. It might go to 22. I mean, look, this is a very loose thesis, but it's a general idea of what we think is going to happen. But the only issue that I take with that, not the only, but a big issue that I take with that thesis is that historically with Bitcoin, and this is kind of unique to Bitcoin, this trend that you see, this hardcore, higher highs, higher lows, that usually means the price is going to blast off upwards and not come back down for a long time. That usually means that. So when I see this, the spidey senses say, hey man, 4-year thesis is probably true, but there's a chance we might see something different this time. That's one concern that I have in the back of my head. So, and that's why I just hold Bitcoin long term for a lot of it, and then I trade the other amounts to up my pot. So that's how that works. That way, it's like, hey, most people, like the vast majority of people who have made money in crypto, have been because they've held it and not sold it, right? Over the long term. That's the vast majority of people who've won in crypto. You don't have a lot of people who are always in and out of cash, right? I did actually sell a lot of my crypto. It's not mine personally. It's a company that I trade for, but I sold most of it, almost all of it, in February of 2022, and Bitcoin was sitting at about 40 something thousand, and I sold a bit more before that. So long story short, I did really well because I got back in, at a much lower rate, but that's uncommon. And a lot of it went into Ripple too. It didn't necessarily go into cash. So, and of course, that's that. So, all right, so let's look at SP 500. Okay. So SPX. I want the index if I can. We'll go to my dashboard. Hold on. I have a cleaner index I like to look at. Look at the E-mini. Okay. So algorithmically, so what you're looking at now, there's lines on the screen. That's kind of a miniature algorithm. You see a handful of indicators. My main algo that I'm kind of playing with, and I don't use all of it, it actually looks like what you're about to see here on the screen. So there's a lot more going on in this one, but here is kind of a simplified version that I'm working on. One of the things that happens in trading building algos is that you end up like, oh man, I need to simplify this. You got too many things going on, and it doesn't have to be complex. Very simple. And right now the algos are, see, it's 18 hours, this is daily. Let's take a look at some higher time frames. Yeah, so price is headed up into resistance. So basically, what we're going to see, what's going to be very telling, is whether or not price on the SP 500 can break this recent high. So you're looking at basically the daily chart here. And if you go back through the last summer towards the end of July, you saw a peak at, that was on, I think, July 27th, actually, just to the right of where I put that line. And it peaked at 46.34. And I think price is going to want to come up into that. But the thing is that you'll notice there's a lot of energy in this move up. And then it's slowed down because that's just how it works. Things slow down. You can't go up forever. And now it's up against a lot of resistance, but it's beating that resistance, right? So it already pushed through this, and it's coming up against these kind of this pivot point up here. Now, how long will that take is unknown. What we could be seeing is just price gathering steam and then maybe rocketing back up, or we might see price kind of slow down and range above here for a while. Now, what it does at this point is going to be very telling, right? So if, we're in December and let's just say that Santa rally is over, right? Let's just say they put an end to the Santa rally, because they can do that. They being the central bankers, mostly the Fed, working together with all the, firms and things like that. We could see a retracement. And I think if the broader market sees a retracement, what they're going to have to do is liquidate other positions outside of equities in order to cover their losses, right? So people trading the SP 500, they're trading indexes or they're trading the stocks that belong to that index. And a lot of people have a lot of money in that. Their 401ks, just people who trade, people who like to buy blue chip stocks, whatever it is. And if that experiences a strong downturn, then people are going to have, and especially a lot of big funds, their balances are going to go down. And I think it's also going to go down because tax loss season is coming up. So tax loss season is a thing that happens at the end of the year where large companies they can make some money. But then once price kind of dips down hard at the end of the season, they can actually sell, right? And then they can take a loss on their taxes, and then they can buy back later, right? And then of course, I think there are rules to that. You can't just sell and buy back and say, "Hey, I have a loss." You have to wait certain periods of time, and they've designed it so it's a little harder to game the system, right? But long story short, I think tax loss season is upon us, and the last couple of weeks of the year, I think we might see. Just based on how markets usually happen. We'll see that dip. And when that dip happens, people will be forced to liquidate other holdings outside of this market, and included in those is crypto. So I think that's why and when we might see our move down. And then we got a couple minutes yet left. So Gorilla, feel free to comment on anything I just said, and then please give us that Gorilla send off.
What you said was great, and I guess we just get into the private room. So listen, guys, if you're watching us right now and you're wondering what you need to do, listen, we ain't got no potions, we ain't got no lotions, we ain't got no pills to sell you. You want to be successful in 2024, you're gonna have to learn, especially the way the economy is going. Look, the only thing that's going to be left standing, the last shoe to drop, is going to be the markets. So come on in. You're about to leverage the largest bubble that is about to be blown, and let's make it happen for yourself. Scan that QR code. Join us. Give me 6 months of your life, and you see what we can do for you. And with that being said, Cowboy, let's get into it.